Welcome to the Pinstripe Chronicles. The Yankees take 2 games against the Mets, 3 in a row. Cabrera setting the world on fire with his defense. Torres, we don't know what he is. Judge hits home run number 48. All of this coming up on Pinstripe Chronicles. Welcome back to the Pinstripe Chronicles. I am Tass. I'm here with Donald. And Donald, the Yankees take the two games against the Mets. They have made it 3 in a row. And before we get into the game, because it wasn't a very crisp played game on the Mets' part. They made a lot of mistakes that allowed the Yankees to score. Are the Yankees back on track, or do you feel like they just got lucky against a team that was struggling offensively just as bad as the Yankees had been in the last couple of weeks?
Obviously it's too short a sample size to make a sweeping judgment that we're back or this is like. I don't think it's luck though. I think we did really well sweeping the Mets, especially beating Max Scherzer. I think has to get your confidence up. Judge getting hot again has to raise confidence, and Benintendi, who I think was the star of the series, he showed why we acquired him at the deadline, and it's starting to come together. I definitely think that we're on an upward tick now, and we're going to get guys back. We did well. Sweeping them with Clark Schmidt doing really well. Loizaga looks better in the bullpen. So, the pitching was good. Montas looked like it was his best start in a while. There's some positive signs that you can say, well, you know what? This might lead to a longer winning streak.
Yeah, I think where it comes to a point where it feels like luck is when you're going against a pitcher like Scherzer, like we were in the first game. Now, was it that the Yankees just were they that patient, or were they lucky that he just didn't have his best stuff? So I think that's where it comes down to. And on the flip side of that, the other side of the argument is it just shows that the Yankees are coming out of it. I think that they are really snapping back to what was working. When you have an opportunity to put up a run, you're making the opportunity happen. So this is the type of baseball that we had seen in the first, 2 months of the season, where they were finding a way to score, even if they didn't have the power bats, hitting the ball out of the park. They would score. They weren't waiting for a home run to put up a run. So I think that's the part of it where you can see that the Yankees are snapping out of it. And the one player that has not really gotten back into that fold, unfortunately, has been Torres, who can really be a catapult in the middle of the lineup to kind of pass the baton to some of the other table setters in the bottom of the lineup, being somebody like IKF that, even though he's a singles machine, it's still a batter in the lineup that produces contact.
So your question is Gleyber Torres is what should we do with Gleyber Torres?
Why is Torres? Because it's also affecting his defense, just like we saw last year. Even though he was, they put him back in a position that was his strength, his struggles just keep coming back to haunt him, and it's very concerning.
I think he's a low IQ baseball player.
Yeah,
I'll call it what it is. I think that his baseball IQ is probably the worst on the team. There's absolutely no way that he should be doing what he did yesterday. Why he fixated on second base and charged straight for second base while the runner was going home, I have no idea, and I don't think anyone involved in baseball ever had any idea what was going through his head at the time. I guess he thought he could beat him out to second base, but you always take the lead runner at home especially when Pete Alonso fell over and stumbled around and didn't really know where he was. He easily could have been caught in a rundown, yet Gleyber Torres was like, I got you, bro. Off you go home, man. No problem. I mean, that is absolutely unacceptable. We are very fortunate that the Yankees came back, because I think if this happened, say, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, then game over. So the fact that the Yankees recovered from that cataclysmic mistake shows that maybe there's a bit more fight in this team, and they might be on an upward tick. So, but back to Gleyber Torres, he's doing nothing offensively, and I think that affects his defense. When he's not hitting the ball, his defense falls apart, and that's what we saw. That's what we saw this time.
No, and it just shows the strength. And to segue into, with Cabrera being called up, you see his baseball IQ, even in his first week, is so much higher than Torres is after a few years in the district, in the
district. Yeah.
So you saw it in his, I think it was I think it was his first game. Even though he didn't put the bat on the ball, his defense paid dividends. When he's playing shortstop, the ball goes, the ball gets hit to him on instant, without even thinking about it. He throws home to cut off the runner. And then you watch last night with Torres, somebody that's had experience at the major league level, try to make a play that he did. It's like, which one of these don't belong? And that was kind of the question that stuck in my head throughout the rest of the night is, what is Torres? What are you doing him? You don't want to have him play. He's got such a high. He could be playing so much better than he is.
He should be a perennial all-star. With his talent, he should be a perennial all-star.
His swing, he should be, the epitome of what we need in a contact hitter. We don't need power guys. We have that already. We have Judge. We have Stanton, who's coming back, that we'll get into. Donaldson. We already have those guys. We don't need you to swing for the fences.
He used to be the perfect all-around player where he bat 300 and he hit doubles and he had the occasional home run. He's got power to give you 25 on a yearly basis, plus give you a 300 batting average, 800 OPS, something like that. I think he's got that ability, and for whatever reason, he doesn't do it. Some fans say laziness. I don't think it's laziness. I just think that his IQ isn't high. I don't know if he's got that desperation to win. I don't think it's like I think maybe that sometimes when talent is just oozing out of you, that you can maybe take things for granted a little bit. And I don't know. I've not seen enough from Torres. He's lazy when he runs to first base sometimes on a ground out. His defense falls apart at times. It was really good for a while, but then falls apart if he's not hitting. It just seems like his IQ isn't as high as it should be.
Running out the ball, running out a ground ball, that is as frustrating to any fan of any team at any point in the season. He's not Stanton. We know, Stanton, he's got the issues with his quads and tricep. Torres is not that type of injury player where you're like, all right, I'd rather him just make an out than strain himself and be out for a month. Stanton, he's that type of player that gets a pass if he's got a hot shot to second that he knows he's not going to beat out.
Mm-hmm.
You got to like, all right, just stay healthy. That's all.
No, I understand what your point is. Yeah, and Torres doesn't have that excuse, because he is.
He doesn't.
And I honestly think that Aaron Boone has allowed it for too long. I think that he's gone away with it for too long, because he did a lot last year, and nothing happened to him. He was always out in the lineup the next day, always playing the next day, and sometimes you have to hold guys accountable a little bit. And I would like them to hold Torres accountable when he makes these boneheaded mistakes like he did yesterday.
Yeah, and we saw the other day, Boone banging on the table, kind of waking the Yankees up a little bit.
That was good, though. I like that.
But you're still seeing that the players that were the root of the problem still get play time. And I know they're not going to cut Torres. They're not going to send him down. I'm not saying to go. It's going to go to that level. But you got to position these guys better to succeed. And I think that's what Boone has to get back to when he was putting out solid lineups. The lineups had a better flow. I think Boone's got to get back to what he was doing at the beginning of the year and kind of.
Well, the lineups have been good the last couple of days. I've been quite happy with the lineups the last couple of days.
Yeah. I mean, how Marwin continues to hang around.
That, yeah.
We'll probably get into more of that tomorrow with Rob, with some of the moves as we get into the Oakland series.
Well, yeah, we know that for Florial's just been sent down this morning.
It's so upsetting. Again, and then everybody's going to blame Florial. Well, he was here. He had a cup of Tylen's coffee, and they sent him back down.
He had 9 at-bats, I believe.
What
9?
doing with this guy? No wonder why he can't get into a rhythm. He doesn't get to freaking play.
9 at-bats, man. What's he meant to do in 9 at-bats? He already gave you an RBI single. It's not like he was completely horrific. He did give you an RBI single. I mean, I do agree with the Yankees, though. I think that he is a quadruple A player. I think that he's too good for triple A, but maybe not quite good enough for the majors. I think he's in between. But, again, is he better than Marwin Gonzalez? 100%. Is he better than Aaron Hicks? Absolutely. Not even a question. So, yeah, he should have gotten more playing time. But you know what? It is what it is. But, I think Florial did fine when he was called up, man. He played great defense. And, his at-bats weren't great. They weren't terrific, but certainly didn't seem like he was completely overmatched.
Yeah, I forget where I heard it. I think somebody was saying, whether it was on one of the broadcasts or a radio show, that Marwin Gonzalez's last hit was against a position player.
What, was it against Pittsburgh? That was the last time we faced a position player.
It might have been that far back.
That was the last time we faced a position player, I believe. That was the last time we had a blowout.
Yeah. So and you have to think back that far. That's a problem. That's a problem in your roster. You have guys that can sustain defensive ability with a quality bat, but let's keep Marwin around.
There's not really any reason to have Marwin around. You got Castillo that's going to do Marwin's job to be that utility guy that can play all around the the infield with the outfield.
Yep.
Strange call.
Yeah. So back to more focus on Cabrera, because he has just been that breath of fresh air that we've been waiting for. What he's done in these few games is he has shown us that maybe Cashman's not as dumb as we think for holding on to some of these guys if they're going to be called up to contribute, and that's where it gets a little tricky. But Cabrera has shown that he has belonged here since the start of the season. He is so comfortable in the field and at the plate. No matter where they're putting him defensively, he's locked in. He's ready to go, and he's got that flair that makes you a professional athlete. He's looking very complete right now.
Not to blow my own horn, but I did say at the start of the year I wanted Oswaldo Cabrera called up, and I didn't want Marwin on the roster. I wanted to give the kids a chance, but I'm glad that he's been given that chance. But what I love is that every day Oswaldo Cabrera does something special. Every single game he does something special, not necessarily offensively, a lot of the time defensively. And on this occasion yesterday, absolute bullet to home plate.
Oh, what a play.
What a throw. Absolute bullet.
No, and it really makes you comfortable keeping him in. It really helps you realign your defense with Stanton coming back. Because you can keep him at DH, Benintendi in left, Judge in center, and Cabrera in right. And you can shuffle it around, because obviously, Judge is going to have to get off his feet a little bit. I know you don't want to. I don't want to see Stanton in a defensive role for, I would say, at least 2 weeks, because he's going to have to get his timing back with his bat.
It's fair. It's very fair.
So you're going to need to put Judge over in right. You're going to need to put Hicks in center, because you're also going to want Cabrera to be able to kind of take the load off of the infield positions that he can rotate to.
Yeah.
So Boone is back into that situation where you have a plethora of position players that you can shuffle around. It's just a matter of is he smart enough? Is he smart enough to navigate it the way he was earlier on?
I
I
think
think that's what it's going
Boone's
to come down to if the Yankees are going to sustain this run that they're starting back up
I
on.
think Boone's plenty smart. I certainly loved what Cabrera did in right field. And remember, this has only been how many career games has he had in right field? I don't think he's had any in AAA that I'm aware of.
No, I think
Maybe
you have
one or
one.
two at
You have
most.
one, maybe two in AAA.
Right, one or two at the most. And he plays it so naturally. It's unbelievable. Yeah. He's already stopped a home run by jumping over the wall and catching. That was a couple days ago. Now he's throwing rockets from right field to home plate. He doesn't look overawed. And there was a couple of line drives which weren't easy to snag, and he snagged them easy yesterday. He was really graceful in right field. This guy is a talent. And, it's not just his defense. He also drew a big walk to get an RBI in.
No, he's been, like I said, I have no issue. I think Cabrera is showing that, like you said, he should have been up here from the get-go rather than signing, going and grabbing Gonzalez. And it also puts Judge in center field, who is he's so good in center field. He's got such a read for that position, and center field is to put it in a way that might not be exact, but there's a prestige to being a Yankee center fielder. And I think Judge being in center field,
Barney, Joe DiMaggio,
amplifies his value, is how I'll put it also. So, and now with the way that his bat's getting hot, Stanton going to be back in the lineup. I think Judge is going to he's going to get back on that tear where nobody's going to want to pitch to him, but you're going to have to because you're going to have Stanton right behind him.
The big thing with Aaron Judge is the reason why he's didn't hit a home run prior to yesterday. 2 days ago for that 10-game stretch is because he's had the lowest percentage of fastballs thrown to him because he's not had any protection behind him. Without Stanton in the lineup, they know they don't need to throw him fastballs, and they keep pitches kind of nibbling pitches at the bottom of the zone. And but in situations where fastballs were in the fastball count, Judge is still absolutely on top of them. As you saw yesterday, 3-2 count, boom, 453 feet. Holy guacamole.
Insane. And it just, he's right back on that, on that pace.
He is. He's on pace for 62, man.
Yeah. And it could only, I think it's only going to, increase the amount of home runs that he's going to hit. I think also knowing, I don't know if it coincides with it completely, but once they announced that Stanton was starting his rehab games, that was kind of when the offense woke up a little bit, and you started to see them playing a little different. It's like, all right, we're going to be okay. Let's.
I mean, I don't know the mindset. I know your point, but I mean, it could also be Aaron Judge. It could also be Aaron Boone banging the table. Maybe behind the scenes, he was absolutely ripping into them and tearing into them. Certainly, judging by how pissed he was in the post game, banging that table. Maybe when he went back in the locker room, he let them all have it, and rightfully so, because this is a different team. They're playing a lot more focused. And, it'll definitely help them. Once Stanton's back, they get some protection in the lineup, add some power, and Aaron Judge is going to get some more fastballs for him to do damage. But what we're not mentioning, which is amazing, we're 20 minutes in, Andrew Benintendi, man.
Yeah, no, he's on the list for today.
Get it on the list.
This is, like I said yesterday, I think the player that we traded for has arrived. I think, he got his, it took him a little while to settle in. Some players do that. And we were criticizing him, rightfully so. He just looked so lost. We didn't trade for him to be the hero. We traded for him to be a piece of the puzzle. And I think he's accepted that, all right, I'm not here to be a savior because that's not my role. My role is to set the table for the players behind me. Being either Judge, Stanton, Rizzo. I actually like the lineup that I like the 1-2-3 that he put up yesterday.
Yeah,
I
well,
think that
LeMahieu and Judge.
I think he finally realized his winning formula for the lineup.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, Benintendi needs to be up top for the rest of the. He's got
Yep.
speed. I love his speed, and he is lining these singles, man, and lining shots here, there, and everywhere. He's hitting them everywhere. He's batting over 300 in this recent stretch, and once again, he was the key. Him and Aaron Judge have been the key to this series. The two of them have just raked this entire series. Judge, got another big RBI. Benintendi continues to be getting on base and getting big RBIs himself. It's just those two guys have really carried this team for the Subway series. They really did. It was quite awesome.
It's. I think it's also taking the pressure off of LeMahieu. Not that he had to. Not that LeMahieu puts pressure on himself. He doesn't. I mean, obviously, he puts it on him to succeed. But when you kind of give somebody that ability to kind of bounce off of the guy in front of him, that's why I think that instead of having the LeMahieu Judge duo that was working very well, now when you have two table setters in front of Judge, and then when Stanton's back in the lineup, who most likely will be batting fourth, I think that just completely.
I've always liked that anyway. I've always liked the two tables. That's more old school. That's more an old school philosophy.
Yeah.
Like remember when Chuck Knobloch was. It's like when Chuck Knobloch was leading off and Jeter was number two, and then you had Bernie and Tino following him, and Paul O'Neill, of course. That was two table setters for a key part of the middle of the order. It's old school. It's an old school philosophy. New school is having Aaron Judge in the two because he gets more at bats that way. Either way, I like where you're at with that. I think that what it is these two contact hitters. Benintendi and LeMahieu are excellent contact hitters. They bat for high average, and you want more players like them, especially when you've got dudes like Judge and soon to be Stanton following them. You'll certainly see a better lineup. I really do believe that.
Yeah, but I want to give some time now to the pitching.
Hell yeah!
Last night, what did you think about Montaz's outing? I thought it could have been it would have been longer if it didn't have such a tough first inning. I think he flew like 5 pitches in the first, and I'm going, oh crap, here we go. But he got out of it. You did get out of it, but I was hoping for just a little stronger or longer of an outing as well.
But you have to bear in mind that he was absolutely running through them like a hot knife through butter until Torres had that brain fart.
Yeah,
and it cost him a run where otherwise he would have gotten the win. I really do believe that. So he kind of got screwed over by Torres there. He would have gotten the dub. But yeah, you're right. In the first inning, he kind of put himself in a little trouble. In the second inning, he also got himself in some trouble. But then he started to work his sinker. I believe Blake talked to him about using his sinker more. And he started using his sinker, and he was inducing ground balls. And then before you know it, he was the Montas that we traded for. And he made Alonso look so stupid. And Alonso was so pissed that he ended up breaking the bat over his leg. He was upset. I love that.
We could play that home.
Go home, Polar Bear. Go home. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks for playing. Go home. I like Montas. I think Montas looked good. He just needs to have more confidence in his stuff. Use his sinker more. Use his fastball, and his splitter's electric, as we know. But that was a really positive start. I like that he got out of the first 2 innings unscathed, considering he put himself in some difficulty. Yes. After that, he absolutely just had no problem. After that, it was just that Torres mind fart.
Yeah, you could start to see the effects of the teachings of Blake with Montaz, where he's now, it didn't click overnight. You could almost see like some of the advice that Mac's giving up, like you said, with the sinker. He's starting to trust the philosophies and guidance of Matt Blake and the pitching staff. And I think
You're talking about your Blake like he's Yoda. The teachings of Blake. Let's
you know what I'm saying.
let's
But
what about Clark Schmidt?
Clark Schmidt. Oh, it's so good to have him back. I think that it was just the right timing. Even that bullpen needed a chance to breathe, and Schmidt came in, was able to eat a couple innings and kind of let everybody rest up after they've been kind of been burned out a little bit, because that's what it was feeling like. The bullpen was so overused. When you got a pitcher like Schmidt, who has been a starter that can give you multiple innings, it does give everybody a chance to exhale. And Schmidt came in like he never left, and he looked very crisp.
Great, he was fantastic. And I didn't agree with Boone putting him out there in the ninth inning. I think the ninth inning he was starting to labor a little bit.
Yeah,
I would have certainly been a lot quicker to pull the trigger, but on the other side of the coin, Boone trusted him, and I appreciate that too, because he's earned his trust. He's a phenomenal pitcher, and we should be really excited about him. I think he should be our fifth starter next year or fourth starter. But this year he's going to have a very, very valuable role in a bunch of roles out of the bullpen, I assume. But that was an unbelievably clutch outing. Just tie game. He comes in, shuts the door, absolutely no issues. And the Mets couldn't really get near him.
No.
So, and then a shout out to Wandy Peralta as well. I mean, he came in a very difficult spot with the bases loaded, and he just threw strikes, and that's what we needed him to do. So he pitched really well too. His slider was on.
It almost seems like with the bullpen, what they're going back to is they're trusting their stuff, and they're not trying to get overly cute and outside of their comfort zone. They're throwing their best stuff, and it's one of those I'm just going to give you my best. If you beat me, you beat me. But you're going to beat me at my best. I think that mentality that the bullpen is getting back to is going to serve us very well going into the latest stretch of the season.
So.
And like you said, even the Weisiger is starting to get back on track a little bit. I got to see a little more from him. But
yeah, he's much better post All-Star break.
His last out, the Weisiger's last outing, he looked, yesterday was a lot better.
Game one, he was really good. Game two, as I say, really happy with Schmidt, and Wandy Peralta shut the door and got us the dub. And what about? I love this as well. The Polar Bear Express screwing up at first base with a ball above his head, and he went and turned every which way but the right one, and then the ball dropped. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was. You don't see that. You don't see. It was almost like he was, trying to compete with Aaron Hicks for how to lose a fly ball.
It was beautiful. So the noisy neighbors go back to Queens, and once again, the Yankees run this town. Yeah. There is nobody else in New York other than New York Yankees. There you go, baby.
Yep. So the Yankees are getting ready. The off day today. They're going to be heading out to Oakland. The pitching matchups have not been announced yet. On the MLB app. So I'm curious to see how that's going to – we'll break into that tomorrow.
Yeah, we got an off day
on the pitching
tonight.
Matchup. But this has been the Pitch Strike Chronicles, brought to you by Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku, Facebook, and by us on YouTube. Just remember, wear your pitch strikes with pride, play hard, and as always, go Yankees.
Meet the Mets, beat the Mets.
But yeah, we haven't had a sing along in a long time. We're gonna have to
Beat
schedule
the
that
Mets.
day together. Come on,
Let's
a little
suck.
fun game. You know, just
Let's suck.
Yeah.
Let's suck.
All right, have a good day, everyone.